Hey guys, this is Cal with Bygone Bushcraft, and also tonight I would like to do a quick little post on first aid. Last night I arrived home and was extremely tired. wasn't fully with it. I had my Mora here, and I pulled it out of the sheath and discovered that there was a heavy amount of rust on both sides of the blade. So I proceeded to scrub it off with steel wool rust remover and a scrub brush. And I was cleaning it. I was going like this with a cloth, and then I ended up taking the knife and actually cutting into my skin and coming out. So from here to here is an extremely deep gash, and it bled for a good hour and a half. It was only in the last half hour I decided to put a pressure bandage on it to stop the bleeding. And for beginning bushcrafters who aren't huge into first aid, when you get cut in the bush, it's if you're out there, you're lost. It can get infected, and it can just cause you a whole lot of trouble. So I like to think there's three things that you need to keep. You need to keep it, you need to clot it, you gotta get the clot, you gotta stop bleeding. You need to disinfect it, make sure it won't get infected, or reduce the risk. And you need to cover it, bandage it so it doesn't get dirt or anything in it. So if you're at your house, you can use Band-Aids, disinfectant, whatever. But if you're out in the bush, and you want it to stop bleeding, what you want to do is make sure your hand is clean. If, let's say, your finger was cut, you had deep laceration on it like I had, you would grab it, you would squeeze it as tight as you could, and you would raise it above your heart. If you raise just your arms the entire way up, it's the best, because when your heart is pumping blood through your system, if you had your arm down at your side like this, you'd only have to go up here, and then it would just be down the rest of the way. So gravity would be naturally, it would just be flowing out. But if you brought it up all the way like this, it has to go up the entire way. So this will minimize the blood flow, and if you squeeze it, it's cutting off the circulation, so it's holding off the blood. So if you're going like this, it's holding off the blood. So when you're holding at the blood, this will help it clot, and this will help it stop bleeding. So when you help it stop bleeding, it'll clot quicker. So you want to hold it up like this. You want to check it on it every 10 minutes or so. Last night I wrapped in a Band-Aid like this, and then I wrapped a pressure bandage around it, and I held it up as high as I could for about a half hour, which stopped the bleeding. And in the bush, when it stops bleeding, you want to make sure it's disinfected. So pretty much any conifer tree, pine, fir, spruce, whatever, anything that has pitch in it will work, because conifers are naturally antiseptic. The sap in them is naturally antiseptic. So what you want to do is the little blisters on like a balsam fir. That's what I would use, because the conifers in my area are predominantly balsam fir. So if it was me, I would take a balsam fir, a little blister on it, I would pop it, it would come out, and I would rub it in. And it's naturally antiseptic. You have to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure there's no like dirt on the tree. You want to just kind of like scoop it out, make sure everything's clean, and you want to rub it in. And this will be naturally antiseptic, and it'll also help your bandage stick. And for a bandage, most everybody carries a shirt, especially in this fall weather. It's getting cold. What you want to do is you want to take your knife, cut a little bit of your shirt, make sure it's clean, wash it in water if you have to, make sure there's no dirt, and just wrap it around and tie it as tight as you can. And then when the bleeding stops, or if the bleeding has already stopped, you can just wrap it around and just make sure it stays. And it'll stop the bleeding, it'll protect it from dirt and infection, and it'll reduce the risk of infection. So that's my quick little video on first aid. Hope you've enjoyed, and see you in the woods.